Would you be the jerk for intentionally baking your sister's gender reveal cake gray in color? We'll get into that in a bit, but first, am I the jerk for not making my daughter-in-law coffee and telling her I'm not a barista? Edit, I sent this to my son and daughter-in-law. My son and daughter-in-law Emily are staying in our home probably for the next month due to water damage in their home. The company is fixing the damage, but the flooring was damaged, so it's not very livable right now. They've only been here less than a week, and I'm having an issue. I work nights. I come back home around 6:30 a.m. and then go to bed. My husband is usually up, so I make him a coffee or breakfast before I turn in. Just something I like to do. More quality time before he heads to work. I asked my son and Emily if they would also like coffee or breakfast before they go to work. They said no to food, but yes to coffee. That was easy, and I just made 2 extra cups. I asked them to tell me if they want me to change how to make their coffee. I thought that they would just tell me, use this cream, or if they had a preference on blend. Emily texted me last night and said she left instructions for the coffee. This morning, I came home to very detailed instructions how to make a complex coffee. It was like a Starbucks drink. She wanted foamed milk on the top, different syrups, a specific coffee bean, ground fresh, and a different brewing method. We have a drip coffee machine. Most of the stuff was on the counter. I decided I wasn't doing that and just made the normal coffee. Emily wasn't happy and we got into an argument before she went to work. I basically told her I'm not a Starbucks barista and I'm not doing all that. She told me I shouldn't have offered in the first place if I wouldn't make the coffee to her liking. We left on a sour note. I have been getting texts from my son about not being hospitable, so I'm having trouble sleeping at the moment. Should I just make the coffee? Now, I'm not sure if OP saying most of the stuff was on the counter as in they provided all of these different syrups and coffee beans and things, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm not doing all that. Like, at that point, all of a sudden $5 or $6 coffee doesn't sound too crazy. If I'm going out of the way to make coffee for you, the questions are like, what kind of K-cup do you want? Or, you want me to hand you the creamer or sugar? And Jalel commented, not the jerk. The social contract for asking someone how they like their coffee goes like this. Black or milk? How much? Sugar or not? Maybe if you have different milk options, that's it. Your daughter-in-law should be embarrassed for asking you to make such a ridiculous drink. Also, hi, I'm Steven, and if you guys enjoy getting to decide whether or not all of these people are jerks, why not hit those like or subscribe buttons down below? Our next story is, am I the jerk for docking my son's allowance the amount he made my premium go up? I, 50-year-old male, just switched insurance companies to try and save money because I've instituted a monthly budget to stop our overspending in our family of 5. 48-year-old female, 19-year-old male, 16-year-old female, 13-year-old female, and 5 cats. The new insurance company asked for a 19-year-old male's driver's ed completion certificate. I contacted the company who said he cannot get the certificate because he skipped the online portion. My son passed the in-class and road tests but has an objection to online driver's ed because it's pointless. I explained that no matter how pointless it feels, it was a term of our contract with them and he broke it, and the result is that my insurance is now $13 a month more than it would have been had he completed the course. I still give him an allowance and I've reduced it by that $13 a month because I hold him 100% responsible for not completing his course, which costs $715 by the way. Am I the jerk? Am I being petty for nickeling and diming a young man and shaking him down to help pay my bills? My other options included just to take him off my policy and forbid him to drive at all, or make him reimburse me the $715 I paid for his driver's ed. I didn't do any of that. I'm thinking I'm invoking a natural consequence based on real-world impact and not vengeance. It's literally one less Mary Brown's 3-piece combo per month. As somebody who grew up in a financial situation where there was no allowance to really have, we didn't really make enough to afford to have an allowance. I don't really fault OP here personally. If anything, I think it's a great taste of being an adult. You're gonna have payments like that. In a way, it's almost like being late on a credit card payment and you have a bit of interest you have to pay off. I am kind of curious though how much this kid is even getting in allowances to begin with. Enwood 1973 commented, not the jerk. If it were me, I would have presented the options to him. 1. Pay the extra premium. 2. Repay the driver's ed as he didn't finish it. 3. Not drive any of your vehicles. I'm quite sure he'll either take the remaining driver's ed or pay the $13. Our next story is, would I be the jerk if I started locking our bedroom door in the mornings? My husband and I are on different sleep schedules. He tends to go to bed around midnight or 1 a.m. and wake up around 7 a.m. I don't go to bed until 4, 5, sometimes 6 a.m. and tend to sleep until around noon. I'm aware my sleep schedule is horrible, but until I can get it fixed, this is what I'm living with. The issue is, my husband will routinely come into the bedroom and talk to me while I'm still trying to sleep. It's never anything important and definitely nothing time sensitive that couldn't wait until I was awake. He comes back into the room every 20 to 30 minutes, sometimes to make some random comment, sometimes to ask me a random question. Sometimes he'll walk in and just stand in the doorway staring at me. I've told him before that this feels like a passive-aggressive attempt to annoy me into getting up, and that it results in me being already irritated before I even get up for the day. His response was that's not how he means it, so it's fine. This morning, he sent our Roomba into the bedroom when I was still sleeping, and the thing roared and banged around in there for an hour. Would I be the jerk if I started locking the bedroom door after my husband gets up so I can finish sleeping? There's a second bathroom he can use. It's the one he primarily uses anyway, so I wouldn't be cutting him off from the only bathroom or anything. This way I can finish sleeping without becoming irritated at him first thing in the morning and he can stop wandering in for no reason. I don't know if it's an ingrained habit at this point or if he's really trying to annoy me into getting up, but he hasn't stopped despite me asking him to. Edit, since so many people keep asking me why my sleep schedule is so messed up, I'll put it here. I'm disabled and have chronic pain. If I go and lie down before I'm actually tired, I just end up lying there in pain. It's resulted in my sleep schedule getting pushed back later and later. Not ideal, but also not something I can just fix. I do not work. My husband is technically still employed, but is transitioning out and burning through his time off before he gets out. So he only goes into the office once every other week. Edit 2, many people are pointing out that maybe my husband is lonely. That's a lot of hours we could be spending together, etc. We're together literally all day, nearly every day. He only goes into work once every 2 weeks, and even that is only for 3 to 4 hours at a time. We spend the rest of the time less than 10 feet away from each other. We have plenty of time together. The few hours in the morning when I'm still asleep is the most time we spend apart. So usually I feel like most of these kinds of situations end up being a communication problem. But OP's saying that apparently they've told him multiple times how much it clearly upsets them. So does that mean this goes from a communication problem to a husband is not registering his wife's feelings problem? I mean, realistically, it may still very well be a communication problem, just not from OP's end. Can the husband give one genuine reason why they are acting the way they are? Ruthless Spiller commented on the post, "Does your husband resent your sleep schedule? It sounds to me like he's passive-aggressively telling you that he wants you to be getting up earlier than you are. No judgment here, I'm a night owl too." OP responded commenting, "He says he's not doing it to be passive-aggressive and he doesn't mean to wake me up, but he also hasn't stopped. And if he doesn't mean to wake me up, I'm not sure what he thinks he's doing when he walks in and starts talking to me while I'm asleep." Our next story is, am I the jerk for not giving up my hobbies? My dad recently married Kim, who has 2 kids. I like to have a busy schedule, so I attend soccer classes 3 times a week, Korean classes twice a week, piano classes once a week, and painting classes also 1 a week. Now, Kim thinks this is too much. She says there's no time and money left for her kids. She thinks that I should stop playing soccer and piano because soccer is the most time-consuming and the piano is the most expensive. I told her she's not paying for my classes or giving me rides, so it's none of her business. Perhaps she could ask their own dad to give them money in time, but oh wait, he's a deadbeat, so maybe she shouldn't have slept with him. She thinks I'm a selfish jerk for not giving up my hobbies for her kids. My dad is on my side, so I'm not worried, but she keeps whining, which is annoying. So I took a quick scan through OP's comments to try to find some important context here, and something that really helps add more context here is OP is apparently almost 16 years old. It's not like OP some grown adult paying rent that also is like mooching off of their dad and stepmom or something. They're 15 years old. Like, maybe you could argue OP shouldn't be talking back the way they did in the story, but at 15 years old, what 15-year-old kind of wasn't? For better or worse, I was kind of like that sometimes when I was 15. Tinker Pro commented on the post, "Stop with the snark, that won't help. You don't say how old you are, you have options. Ignore her, point out that your dad is fine with your activities and she shouldn't be trying to interfere. Do not slam her ex, that's not productive. Continue to stay busy, continue to stay busy. Next thing you know, she'll be trying to force you into free labor and babysitting." Our next story is, am I the jerk for telling my friends to get freaked? I, 29-year-old female, love to cook. I cook all kinds of stuff. Tofu, chicken, soup, sausage, Asian, Mexican, Italian. I love to make things from scratch. 2 examples, was in a tofu kick, so I made my own from raw soybeans. Was on a chalupa kick, but they're $7 each. What the heck, Taco Bell? So I made my own fry bread and toppings, etc. I love to bake Christmas cookies and make little treats. Anyways, all this to explain that I take a lot of pride in making food, and I love to feed people. My 2 closest friends, 21-year-old female and 25-year-old female, crap on me every time I make something that isn't chicken tenders, basically. I make a chicken gnocchi soup, and one tells me that it looks like it has bugs in it. I make a tofu stir-fry, and the other tells me it looks like poop from a butt. They know it bothers me and still continue to do it. It's not like I force them to eat the food. I did make 21-year-old female try tofu one time, not even the dish posted above, which I'll admit didn't look how I wanted it to, even if it was delicious. Today, I woke up to a Facebook post of them publicly mocking me about how my food is only meant for starving orphans. So I told them both to get freaked, and now I'm the dramatic one. Am I the jerk? I think it's pretty easy to say that OP isn't the jerk here, and also, can I put a friend application in? I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I'd love to have a friend that loves to cook. Heck yeah, I'll try whatever the heck you're making. Just as long as, it doesn't actually have bugs in it, sure, why not? HC commented on the post, "Those people are not your friends. You made your own tofu." Our next story is, am I the jerk for catering to my nieces in need to have dino nuggets at every meal, but not doing the same for my kids? My husband and I divorced 2 months ago. I was a stay-at-home mom, so my kids, 4-year-old male, 6-year-old female, and 8-year-old male and I moved in with my sister and her kids, 12 and 7-year-old female and a 3-year-old male. Her husband passed 2 years ago and she needed help managing the house and kids, and I needed a cheap place to live. My sister is a doctor and works long hours, so most of the childcare and household care is on me. I'm not working at the moment, but I went back to school so I could get a job soon that will enable us to get our own place. While she does make good money, having 4 extra people move into her house does mean expenses are higher than they used to be. In order to make up for that, she switched her youngest to half-day preschool and is reducing her nanny's hours. The nanny is also working at a reduced rate because now she's only responsible for my 12-year-old niece. My 12-year-old niece has autism and ARFID, avoidant restrictive food intake disorder. She struggled with the change in routine, which is why she still has the nanny and is expressing that through her food preferences. For the past month and a half, the only way she'd be able to eat any meal at home with everyone is if there are dinosaur chicken nuggets on the plate. She and her mom have breakfast together before everyone wakes up, and her mom still packs her lunch on school days, but for dinner or on weekends, when we all eat together and I'm the one doing the cooking, she needs the chicken nuggets. She is slowly making improvements. For the first few weeks, they were the only thing she would eat at home. Now she's willing to eat other previously safe foods if the nuggets are on the plate. My other niece and nephew and my kids have been asking for dino nuggets at every meal like their sister/cousin, and I've been refusing because the rule is that they need to eat whatever is prepared for them. My sister backs me up on this whenever she's home, but the kids are bringing it up to their grandparents, my and my sister's parents, and my ex, and they both agree that the rule should be that everyone eats whatever I make or dino nuggets should be available to everyone. Now I'm wondering if I'm being too strict on the younger kids or if the rules should be the same for everyone. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, but I think this is one of those situations where it becomes acceptable to say, I'm the adult, you're the kid, I am preparing a meal for you and you will eat what I prepare for you, and explain that their niece or sister has a condition and it's not a choice. Now, you don't have to be overly stern and rude about it, but explain that that's how it is. They should be able to understand that it's not a reward, it's not a conscious choice she's making. She literally will not eat if she doesn't have them. Candace commented on the post, not the jerk, but hear me out. They all get one nugget on their plates with the regular meal a couple of times a week. It'll cut down on the resentment. Our next story is, am I the jerk for letting my friend's daughter live in our rental property rent-free without asking friends' permission first? When my mother died 15 years ago, I inherited her home. It's smaller than my own house, so my husband and I decided we would rent it out. It's already paid off, so we were making a decent profit off of it. Other players in this story, my husband and I have been friends with Sam and George since we were in college. We all have kids of similar ages and they're close friends. The relevant children here, our son Henry, 24, Sam's son Kyle, 23, and George's daughter Anne-Marie, 24. Henry and Kyle are in grad school working part-time. Anne-Marie finished grad school in the spring and recently started her first big girl job, as she calls it. Originally, the three of them were sharing an apartment in a bad part of town. We didn't love that the kids were doing this, but they wanted to be independent and be on their own. And this was all they could afford. However, after a couple of incidents in the building, I came to the kids with an offer. If they cover the bills on our rental, we won't charge them rent, and they can live there. We won't profit off it anymore, but I'm okay with that if it means the kids have a safe place to live. The kids were on board with this and thanked us. I didn't even think about asking our friends about this, because the kids are all adults. Sam and his wife were cool with this. George, however, is irritated with us. He says one of the reasons Anne-Marie moved out is because he wanted to charge her rent to teach her responsibility, and she said if she was going to pay rent, she might as well have her own space. I pointed out that she will still be responsible for bills. The three of them are splitting the bills evenly, just not rent. He feels like this is spoiling the kids and wants me to not let Anne-Marie live there. I said I'm not going back on this, as that wouldn't be fair. My husband, Sam, and Sam's wife are on my side, though my husband feels like we should have asked George first before offering this to Anne-Marie. I think that's absurd because she's an adult, this is our property, and we can do whatever we want. But am I being a jerk by offering this and not running it by George first? Edit, yes, there is a lease being signed with stipulations about bills, what condition the house is to be lived in, and some other things, such as they can't move somebody in without not just clearing it with me, but each other. The lease will be reevaluated yearly. It also states if one or more parties are not paying their portion of the bills or any other part of the lease is violated, they will be evicted. This includes my own son. I also have money set aside for any damages that may come, and we also have insurance on the house. I'm confused why some are insisting I charge rent, saying they're not learning any budgeting. They'll still have bills by living here, and are obviously buying all their own food, so budgeting is happening, and they're all still very much adults. They're just not paying arbitrary rent. Does anybody else actually find it crazy that George is being like, well, you should have come to me first before ever offering my kid a place to live? Your kid is 24 years old. If OP wants to offer them a rent-free living situation, there's no George the dad gatekeeping window that it all has to enter through. In Turnaround commented on the post, not the jerk. He doesn't get to decide what's right for his child when she's an adult. It would have been insulting to Anne-Marie if you consulted her daddy to see if she could live where she wanted to live. You would be taking away her agency and giving it over to her father. Kinda feels sexist, honestly. It was kind of you to make that offer. I understand why you did it, and I agree with you that it was the best move given the circumstances and your very real concern about their safety. Our next story is, am I the jerk for refusing to care for sister's kid during surgery? My sister, 34-year-old female, has a kid, 6-year-old male, who's always been rude to me, 36-year-old female. He's called me names because I'm overweight, and whenever he's been at mine, he's just made a mess, screamed. He left the fridge door open and threw food on the floor once. He just seems to have some kind of behavioral issue. I told my sister I don't want to look after him again because I can't control him. I'm not a parent and I just don't know what the right tactics are. She was okay with it as she has other friends who can take care of him. Thing is, she's now about to go into the hospital for a surgery which will have her out for a few days, and she's telling me there is nobody who can look after my nephew for that time. Now I don't know what to do because while of course I would take vacation time for family, but I don't have much left, and to be honest, I don't want to spend it dealing with a kid who just won't give me any respect. I told my sister I'm not happy to do it and said I would be okay to pay for a babysitter, but she just called me a selfish cow. Others in the family have since texted me with various stances, asking me to please reconsider or asking why I'm being like this, as if I'm meant to magically figure out how to stop him destroying my house or just put up with it. Am I the jerk for not wanting to deal with it even though it's to help my sister with a medical issue? I don't think OP is the jerk. Maybe at the end of the day, I would probably still go through with it just to be there for my sister, but they also called OP a selfish cow. Forget about the kid for a minute. Who acts like that to their own sister who they're asking a big favor from? It really kind of becomes not that hard to figure out where it comes from. Spare Shirt 24 commented, "Not the jerk. I was leaning towards nobody's a jerk up until the point where she called you a selfish cow. Don't even spend another second feeling bad about not watching your kid. You offered to pay for a babysitter, which was more than generous, and she essentially spat on your offer. Now it's up to her to deal with her unruly offspring. She's not entitled to your time, your PTO, or even your money." Our next story is, would I be the jerk if I told my friend that I was the anonymous person who paid his vet bills? A few years ago, my friend George had a lot of debt and couldn't afford for his dog to have surgery. He was finally going to do it and pay for it on credit cards. The morning of the surgery, I called the animal hospital and paid for everything and told them to please keep it anonymous. I had offered my friends before, and he was too proud to accept. A few weeks later, I saw him and he brought it up and asked if it was me. My boyfriend at the time, now ex-boyfriend John, immediately jumped in with a "yes, we paid it." John made a big showing of it and definitely insinuated that he had made the decision to pay and paid most, if not all, of the cost. In reality, he had paid zero and was also pretty against how I spent my own money. I didn't say anything at the time as it would have been awkward and I already felt uncomfortable since I was planning to be anonymous forever. It's years later now. I still see George and John through our mutual friends once in a while. George will still bring up to John how grateful he is for him covering the medical bills that time. And John is always saying something like, "It's my pleasure. This really bothers me. I know I was planning to be anonymous, so it shouldn't bother me, but I feel like John is taking credit for something he had not earned." So much time has passed that I think I might be a jerk to bring it all up the next time this happens. I feel very small inside for even caring. Would I be the jerk? Anybody else think that OP should tell them? It's not even about being jealous and wanting the credit back for yourself. It's because this guy is going, "Yeah, don't worry, it was nothing. I would have helped you out 10 times over if I had to," when he didn't actually do anything. He didn't contribute any money. Aminia's commented on the post, "Not the jerk. I think you should tell, not just to take credit, not even to take credit, but because who knows how John is holding this over George or cashing in on his generous reputation to manipulate other people. If he's slimy enough to do this, he's probably slimy enough to pull a "you owe me, bro" at any opportunity. Even if he's not doing this, George might really be putting himself out to make it up to this snake. I would want to know if a friend of mine sucked this much. Our next story is, am I the jerk for making my sister's gender reveal cake gray because she wouldn't tell me the gender? I, 23-year-old male, bake as a hobby and I'm actually pretty good at it. I get paid under the table for weddings and baby showers kind of good. My sister is pregnant and wanted me to make a cake for her gender reveal. Cool, no problem. I asked her to send me the info so I could prep the inside, classic pink or blue filling. She says, "Oh no, I want to be surprised too. Just make it neutral for the reveal and we'll all find out together." I was like, huh? So you want a gender reveal cake with no gender revealed? She says she'll have someone email the info to me later. That someone never did. Deadline comes and I still have no gender. So I make the cake. It's gray inside, gray outside. Just full-on cement vibes. I even added a little fondant clouds for effect. It still tasted great, but visually, grim as heck. The reveal day comes, they cut into it, and my sister looks ticked. Her husband is confused. People start murmuring, then she pulls me aside like, "Why would you make it gray? That's so passive-aggressive." Calmly reminded her that no one told me the gender. I literally had no data to work with. I told her I wasn't about to guess or go full improv on someone's baby cake. Now, my mom says I embarrassed her in front of the family and that I should have tried harder. Tried harder to do what? Summon the gender through vibes? So, am I the jerk for making the most neutral reveal cake in history? Edit, I actually did follow up, asked her a couple of days before the reveal if the info had been sent, and she just said something like, "Yeah, someone's taking care of it. I figured it was handled." I didn't want to pester her since she seemed chill about it at the time. Anybody else out there agree with me that I think OP is the jerk here? Even with that edit where OP said, "Yeah, I followed up and asked her a couple of days before the reveal if somebody had sent the info," and she said, "Yeah, someone's taking care of it." Well, maybe OP should have clarified. That person who's taking care of it? Yeah, they never got me the info, so kinda need to know, sis. Independent Cat 6915 commented on the post, "I'm confused. Did you not take the opportunity to message as the date was coming closer to tell your sister, 'Hey, I haven't gotten the info on the gender. You check on this?'" OP responded saying, "I actually did follow up and ask her a couple of days before the reveal if the info had been sent, and she just said something like, 'Yeah, someone's taking care of it. I figured it was handled.' I didn't want to pester her since she seemed chill about it at the time. If she really wanted the gender in the cake, she could have double-checked too. I was relying on the system she set up, and it just didn't come through." Our next story is, am I the jerk for pushing back on my sister-in-law for asking me to dress differently because her and my brother-in-law are uncomfortable? 3 months post-pregnancy with baby number 2, and layer a tank top under my sweaters in case I get a hot flash during or after nursing. Got a text from my sister-in-law saying she and brother-in-law are uncomfortable by my tank tops and would appreciate if I wear things that are more covering. She mentioned when I bent over, she could see down my chest. I was confused because my sister-in-law nurses without a cover, watches shows with partial nudity, wears a bikini at the beach, etc. I generally don't comment on anyone else's modesty because it's very subjective, but this felt like a double standard. I apologized for unintentionally making them uncomfortable, but then voiced my perspective. She countered by saying that her not using a cover is about feeding her baby, that the beach is fine because everyone else is doing it, and no comment on shows or movies. She pressed that I can find options that keep me cool and are more covering. I wrote 2 lengthy texts on how it still felt like a double standard to me, and she said she didn't want it to be this big deal, just wanted to let me know they're uncomfortable. The convo did not end with closure. Am I the jerk for not just changing my outfits? I'm sorry that OP's sister's husband has wandering eyes and whatnot, but OP's not the jerk here. Maybe you could argue if OP is wearing something that is like legitimately consistently revealing, but when it's a garment that they're wearing that they can see down their chest when they bend over, like what is OP suddenly expected to wear at that point? A one-piece dive suit? Like most clothing option when you bend over tend to fall away from the body a bit. Princess Mem commented, so basically she's caught her husband looking at your chest and she's insecure. Not the jerk. She can get over herself and her husband can keep his pervy wandering eye in check. Absolutely not your problem. Not your problem. Our next story is, am I the jerk for hijacking a Bible study? I, 18-year-old female, was hanging out with my boyfriend, 20-year-old male, at his parents' house. His parents happened to be hosting a Bible study at the same time, which we realized when we went into the kitchen for a snack. His mom seemed excited to see me, calling me over and giving me a piece of paper. She said, "OP, it would be fun if you took this quiz too." The quiz in question was a series of questions about Christianity. For background, he was raised Southern Baptist and his family attends one of those mega churches. I was raised Catholic and have attended Catholic school since kindergarten. My boyfriend and I have had many conversations about the teachings we grew up with, what we agree with, and what we question. However, as we've been together longer, his parents have hinted that they have some reservations. It's gone as far as his mother asking me which church we plan to raise our hypothetical future kids in. When I didn't give a straight answer, she expressed worry that our future kids wouldn't know the Bible if they were raised Catholic. Needless to say, her giving me a Bible quiz wasn't out of character. To his credit, boyfriend did cut in and say that I didn't have to do it. I admit that my pride took over a little and I agreed to take the quiz. Well, I nearly aced it. In fact, the only question I missed was something that's different in Protestant versus Catholic doctrine. I started to explain that, but they cut me off and segued to an explanation of the teaching to the Bible study teens. This is where my boyfriend and his family think I'm the jerk. When they were done with their explanation, I pointed out that the question was too vague as there could be multiple possible answers depending on what denomination or religion someone was raised in. My answer was based on my beliefs. One of the Bible study kids asked me if I could explain my answer. I gave a short and sweet explanation, but they had follow-up questions. I was very careful to keep answers as factual and neutral as possible. His parents tried to interject some of my answers with common misconceptions, which I corrected as gently as possible. To be honest, if it weren't for my boyfriend's parents shooting daggers my way the whole time, I would say it was a very nice conversation. When we returned upstairs, my boyfriend was very quiet and cold toward me. His argument is that I hijacked the class by sticking around to fulfill my need to always be right. He said I insulted the quiz his parents wrote in front of the kids and then took over the lesson. I argued that they were the ones to insert me into their lesson in the first place, and the kids asking questions was the only reason I yapped for that long. Later that night, he texted me his parents felt I was disrespectful and overstepped. My boyfriend has come around to the fact that his parents kind of dug their own grave on this one, but he still thinks I should apologize. Am I the jerk? I definitely think OP's not the jerk here. I really just don't buy both the OP has a need to always be right and the parents' assertion that OP overstepped and was disrespectful. I think the real problem is they're upset that they couldn't shut OP down and make it out to be that OP and their Catholic ways were the clearly incorrect one. I mean, I'm just solely speculating here, but it kind of reads to me like they wanted to slam dunk this, that their denomination was the only right one and that OP doesn't know anything that they're talking about and blah blah blah. Neon Sparkle Glitter commented on the post, "Not the jerk, but I would rethink this relationship. Is this how you want to spend the next few decades of your life? Will your boyfriend start to stand up for you? Will he always defer to his parents? Think about the drama that might occur surrounding where you get married, where or if you go to church, how you raise your kids, etc." OP responded saying, "When we were talking about it later, he did apologize for taking his anxiety about the potential tension this would create at home out on me. He is working on his deconstruction, but sometimes higher stress stuff like this can be a setback. I do hear you though. I've definitely thought about it a lot, as his parents have gotten a bit more overbearing and we've been apart more while he's away at school. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another absolutely crazy Am I the Jerk Here story, check out that video on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.